Okay, good morning and welcome to our meet and greet with the SBDC. My name is Amira Waters with the Jefferson County Business Resource Center. And most of you know at this point that Jeffco BRC did shut down in December, but not to worry because there are some fabulous resources available to you, the Jefferson County business owner, and that's what we're doing here today. We are just going to showcase what the SBDC does and some of their offerings. We are very fortunate to have two folks from the SBDC with us today. I'm going to kick it over to Rob Rose right now. Why don't you just share with us, kind of give us an overview of the SBDC and the services that you offer, and then you can kick it over to Greg and he can share, and then we'll open it up for Q&A.
Absolutely. Thanks, Amira. Again, my name is Rob Rose. I'm the Director of Programming and Engagement at the Denver Metro Small Business Development Center. We're actually located within the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce. So we are so glad to see your faces today. We have an opportunity to share with you this morning some of the opportunities and ways you can get involved in some of the sort of hidden gems that a lot of folks don't quite know about, not just the Denver Metro Small Business Development Center, but we're actually a part of a network of 15 small business development centers in the state of Colorado, sort of north, south, east, and west. We happen to be the largest in the state with as far as number of staff, 5 in total, and about 15 to 20 different business consultants. And we happen to have one of our best here this morning, Greg DeRocher, that you'll hear from in just a moment. But really, the easiest way to sort of describe and explain what we do day to day through the Denver Metro Small Business Development Center is sort of twofold. First and foremost, we do put on quite a bit of education and training programs within our center, and sometimes out there in the community, barring any pandemics that are going on. So that education and training program programs can range literally anywhere from you've got that sort of cocktail napkin or idea up here in your brain that you're looking to put on onto paper. So startup track is one of our most popular programs that folks involved with, either sort of on an a la carte basis or tackling a whole slew of classes. And that could be anything from your basic startup information about starting a business planning, marketing basics, which we had a class last night for, and then our finance basics, and then we're adding a legal basics track to that. So that's kind of a core offering that we do that gets a lot of folks into the door and better understand where they're at, what we can do, how we can provide services for them. And then from that, the flip side of the coin is, in addition to a multitude of other different types of programming on the education piece, we do offer one-on-one consulting services. So again, Greg will talk a little bit deeper into that and his experience with that. But before I get into that, we do offer some longer range programming as well. So it's not just the whiz bamboo of a 90-minute session or a track that I just mentioned in getting started. Predominantly, we work with a lot of businesses, quite honestly, that are in that growth stage or development stage, looking for a second location, formalizing a business plan, looking for financing, things of that nature. So we do have programming that match up with that as well. I would say our marquee program or flagship program within the Denver Metro SBDC would be our Leading Edge program. I've been running it for a number of years, since the early to mid 90s. We've had that program offering. It's a 10-week class in writing a business plan. Seems simple enough, but we meet on Thursday evenings for 3 hours, and we offer that program actually 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall. And we also have a string of other specialized programs within the Leading Edge course, meaning that we work with our friends at the Department of Transportation, or CDOT, to do a specialized program for construction and transportation types of businesses. And then we also work with our newest partner, which is the child care folks. We have a specialized program that for folks that are either starting a child care program within their with a brick and mortar location or within their home, quite honestly. So Greg is actually our lead facilitator and consultant in that program, so I'm sure he'll sprinkle that in his introduction as well. But just wanted to get a little bit of breadth and scope as far as we are anything from the startup workshops, programming, getting you started in marketing, finance, sales, you name it, meeting you where you're at with your business endeavors, all the way up to programming like our digital marketing class, which is a little bit more of a 200, 300 level course in the area of marketing beyond basics. And then, like I said, that flagship program, Leading Edge. And again, any given month or any given week, we're going to have some programming in between there that's going to meet those folks where they're at. And then also just to wrap services around, also meeting you where you're at. Those 15 to 20 different business consultants are going to sit face to face with you or virtually right now to sort of hammer out the details and work through the process of and development of where you're at with your business. So again, sort of like to see that as wraparound services from getting started on the education and training piece all the way through that one-on-one business coaching and consulting along the way. So I'll turn it over to Greg to give an introduction of himself, how he sort of got involved, and maybe a bit more on the Leading Edge front since he is our lead instructor in that. Greg.
Thank you, Rob. So about 5 years ago, I was a client at the SBDC. My first career was as a firefighter paramedic, actually out in Lakewood. Was there for 13 years and left that to go explore being an entrepreneur. And while on the fire department, I got heavily involved in the kids in car seat safety education world. And that is actually the business that we're in now as an e-commerce business. But I made all the mistakes as a business owner and ended up in a situation where we had been in business for 18 months. We had not created a business plan. It was my wife and I and another couple that jumped into business because there was a really cool product that we thought the world needed to know about. And then we were running out of money and I realized we needed a loan. And I had gotten appointed as CEO of the company, so it was up to me to figure out the money problem. So I went into the SBDC as a client. The first consultant I sat down with said, you need to be in our business plan class. And I said, yes, ma'am. And took the 10-week Leading Edge class. And ultimately, because while I was on the fire department, I dove pretty deeply into the whole personal development, training, presentation, public speaking kind of realm. And between that and the, apparently I did a pretty good business plan. So she invited me to be her co-instructor for the class. And then ultimately within a year, handed off the whole 10-week business plan curriculum to me as the lead facilitator for Leading Edge for entrepreneurs at the Denver SBDC. That's how I got started. And what keeps me here is the ability to help our clients, the students in the class, the participants in the class, really delve into their business plan. And the best analogy I give is, you wouldn't start building your dream house by buying a piece of property, renting a backhoe, starting to dig, pouring concrete, banging nails, boards together, and expect your dream house to just appear the way that you always envisioned it. That's not how we would go about that. We start with a solid foundation. We consult with experts. We get it all planned out on paper with the blueprints first. Then we go build it. And we get all the experts on our team, the foundation, the concrete, all the professionals, electricians, plumbers, framers, roofers, all these people come together to help us build our dream house. And we should approach our businesses the same way. We should work it out on paper first so that when we're going out to build it in the real world, we've got a plan to follow. Now, does that mean everything's going to work out perfectly the way that we put it on paper? Often not. We're going to run into challenges. But that's where the personal development piece comes in, is being a business owner is about us becoming the person that our business needs us to be. So if there's a hole or something we don't know, it's not a problem. We just have to go learn it or find somebody that can help us. So that's what keeps me here, is helping people navigate this whole journey of being a business owner and growing our businesses. I love that part of it. I love getting to know everybody. As a consultant, I'm a good generalist. I'm a good kind of startup consultant. I'm not excellent at financials. I know all of the marketing I know is from what we've learned in our own business, and listening to the other awesome consultants at the SBDC who are marketing experts. So I'm a good generalist, like I said. I think the value to our client base is the access to all the consultants. I think there's 15 to 20 at any given moment, who are people that are experts in what they're consulting at the SBDC. They're not, the consultants are not employees of the SBDC. They're people who have life experience and expertise who are willing to give back through the SBDC to help other people climb that ladder of building a successful business, a financially profitable and successful business. So, there's consultants that might be available one day a month is what they're able to offer the client base. There's other people that are there every week. The training that the SBDC offers is it seeks to help develop the business owner. So if you need to learn about HR, you can take a program for that. If you need to learn about marketing, you can take a program that will help teach you marketing. If you need to learn about even leadership and personal, there's some programming around that. If you just need to work on your business plan, there's a 10-week class for that. So the SBDC is there to help build the business owner so that you can then go out and build your businesses in a more informed and intentional way. That's, in my mind, that's what the SBDC is all about. And like Rob said, the Denver SBDC is just one of the 15 SBDC centers in the state. So, and every state has an SBDC network. So it's a national program. Did I miss anything, Rob?
No, but I'm sure there's probably a few questions from folks.
Do you want live questions or in the chat?
Oh, let's
go live. It'd be great. Sure.
Okay. One of my biggest hurdles is selling out of state and then collecting sales tax. So I want to sell from my website, but that, I can just point people to Amazon, Barnes and Noble, that type of thing. They take care of all that tax. But I'd like to sell myself because as an author, the only way you really make money is when you direct sell. But then I'm, forced to, what do I do? I'm shipping 2 books to Montana and 1 book to New Mexico. And I don't know how to do that. I've got the Colorado thing done. I've filed my first quarterly taxes. That's all done. But it's how do I deal with the out-of-state sales? So
in a nutshell, if you're not meeting really high sales numbers, you probably don't have to worry about it. But that would be a great thing that we could talk about one-on-one in a consulting session, and talk about some marketing strategy and some things you could consider. And that would be just a 1-hour consulting session that you would book through the SBDC, and you can hook up with me as a generalist. You could talk to Wendy, who's one of the marketing experts, and they would sit down. We would sit down for an hour and just talk through your specific questions.
Okay. Do you have time at 11 o'clock? No, I'm kidding.
Actually, I have an 11 o'clock appointment, but
I'm joking.
maybe this afternoon.
And
Okay.
I'm going to so you make the appointments through a gal named Kim Roberts. She's a customer service specialist with the SBDC. So I'm going to put her contact info in the chat box now.
Great.
Yeah. So other questions?
I have a question. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Cheryl.
You keep referring to it as the Denver SBDC. So is there a Jeffco one? Is there going to be a Jeffco one? Is it?
The short answer is I don't know. My guess is not necessarily. I think that's where we have, yes, 15 in the state of Colorado. And again, you also know that it's actually Denver Metro. So sometimes we're not just in Denver per se. Our map actually reaches a little bit farther out in Denver. And quite honestly, Cheryl, and others, it really depends. Each center has a little bit of a different area of specialty. I hate to say that, but there's a few, I shouldn't say that because not every center has that. We're more of a generalist, if you will, when we hit a lot of different areas, but our Boulder office has a little bit different focus in high tech and finance compared to like Colorado Springs that does a little bit more in like cybersecurity and things of that nature. So you'll find a little bit of that, but otherwise, like Greg and I were saying, we're trying to just meet you with your needs at the time, especially in today's time. Quite honestly, it's a little different where you're not physically going to the Denver location or to the Colorado Springs location or wherever. You can do it virtual this way. So that's why it's a little easier to sort of navigate your way through there. But the short answer is it really doesn't matter. We want to make sure that it fits the best with you because sometimes we meet with Greg or a couple different consultants, 2 or 3 times in a month or within a couple different months. We want to make sure that it makes sense that if you live in Aurora, then maybe the Aurora Center may make better sense for you to directly go there. We're probably, depending upon where you're at in Jeffco, we may be the most directly related to your physical address, but it doesn't have to be as the bottom line.
Okay, so we kind of have to shift our mind then, is what I'm thinking, from a county base to a state. Are we eligible as a business owner in the state to go to any SBDC in the state?
You are, because
Okay.
again, at the end of the day, our funding actually comes from and filters down. The 15 different centers actually go up to the Small Business Administration. So the SBA is the parent. You heard me also mention, and Cheryl pretty well, the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce is our host institution. Same thing with the other centers. Most of them are tied to a college or a university or a Chamber of Commerce as their home base location. But other than that, again, at the end of the day, it's up to you, Cheryl, and others where you want to go to. You may find a little bit more going back to sort of services we provide. You're going to see a lot more that we put out being the largest in the state as far as education goes, and the 15, 18 different business consultants, a lot more sort of breadth and scope of what our consultants can consult you in or on compared to maybe Greeley or on the Western Slope where there may only be 5 or less consultants that are there and not as many training programs.
And how do we get connected to those educational, is it in the chat?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, if you're saying more broad, Cheryl, you can actually go to, when you go to our website at the Denver Metro SBDC, and if it's not in the chat, I'll throw it in there as well. But from there, you can actually see the entire, the other 14 centers, and you can click on them for information specific to programming they're running, their list of consultants, areas of specialty, things of that nature.
Great, thanks.
You bet.
Hey, Rob, we had a question in the chat box about charging. What do the services cost? Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Absolutely. Great question. So our starting on the consulting side of things, it is always free of charge and unlimited. I put an asterisk on that, though, that we're comfortable saying now. We want to make sure, as you can probably imagine, that we don't inundate Greg with, I'll pick on Cheryl because she's my friend. So if Cheryl comes in and she meets with Greg 20 different times within a month or two, and she's not proceeding or doing things maybe that are helping her and more importantly, helping her business get to the next level and do what she wants to accomplish. A couple times we have to nudge folks to say, hey, let's get some work done, get this step and that step before you come back and visit Greg or somebody else. But other than that, asterisk that I put on there, absolutely. There is, and I think Greg sort of alluded to this, a lot of times you may start out with a little bit of a generalist, if you will, Greg, that starts you off, get some of those areas of focus down on paper. Then, okay, next kind of step is maybe some sales and marketing. Well, maybe I need to see Steve Perry and Wendy or somebody else to move along that line. So a lot of times you're working with maybe 2-3 different consultants over a quarter, or maybe even in the same month, kind of a thing. So know that, yes, the bench is deep, and it is always free of charge for you there. The education and training side is definitely going to vary a little bit there. It is definitely low cost in the fact that most of our workshops, and when I say workshops, that could be anything from that startup track I talked about to Greg had talked about personal professional development programming as well. Sometimes they're in individual workshops, or they come together in tracks or series of programs. Those typically are anywhere from about $35 to maybe $50 per session, and they get a little cheaper as you bundle them on a track format. And then when you go a little bit deeper into like the digital marketing program that I mentioned, the boot camp, the leading edge program, and so, some other programming that we have that's more long range and multiple weeks, then it does range and goes up to maybe like the leading edge class, for example, $695 for the 10 weeks. But we usually have discounts, scholarship, sponsorship opportunities as well. So I would say that's the range, and that's a big one, from $35 kind of up to $695. But most of the core program we offer is in that workshop format of $35 to $45, $50.
Thank you. That was great. Okay, other questions? I know we have several former clients of Jeffco BRC here with us today, and we also have some teachers, people that taught in both our business education program and the launch program. And then we have some of our community partners on today too. So I know you guys have more questions.
I actually do have another question. So the other thing I need to do to get my business really put to bed is I created a logo. I'm using the logo, but it's not protected. And I'm a little bit, I've my book is copyrighted, or I've applied for it, let's say, but I just don't know what to do with my logo. Do I have to file a trademark? I'm very confused. So would that be another appointment with one of your consultants?
Absolutely, yeah. I would. It would probably be again with. We mentioned Wendy. Wendy King is our marketing consultant. We also have a new Darcy is a new consultant for us as well that's coming on board. So we have new resource there, and then we partner with others. So they may not, just like you'll find a lot of times that we are a network of consultants for sure, not just in our center but other centers. So maybe there's somebody within a different center, or even within the city and county of Denver or Aurora or wherever else it may be. We partner with a lot of different folks because we may not always have the answer, quite honestly, but we can get you to the answer, which is key. Just as an example, we have at our home within the Denver Metro Chamber family, we are there's over 3,000 business members within the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce. So a lot of times, Greg and others may tap into that resource or to me and say, hey, Rob, we're looking for somebody specific to help in this area or that area that came up in one-on-one. Can you assist or make an email introduction or a physical introduction to someone that can help us out there? So absolutely, we can fill in those gaps. And I also like to just point out too, just as an aside, that from what Amari had said about other folks that are on this, when it comes to our not just consultants but more on the training side of things, we are not always the experts there either. It's not staff that's conducting a lot of these trainings. Mostly it's some of our business consultants that we have for sure, but we also tap into resources that are out there in the business community. If there's an expert in said topic area, it is my job and goal to make sure I can find those individuals. So some of the folks that are on the call today definitely reach out to me and say, hey, I can teach in this area or that area. I can tell you this, just like our services that we don't have folks pay a lot, we also don't pay a lot to our instructors because most of them are either volunteered or we pay them sort of a stipend. But quite honestly, what they're looking to do is obviously get themselves looking at, to be an expert in the room teaching in a certain subject matter. So that's going to obviously further them and help them out in that area. But love to just open up that that opportunity for folks that are on the call too, to say, if you have an area or you are a teacher trainer in an area, let me know and we'll see how we can sort of maybe push you into that network as well to get you in front of a crowd.
Hi, Rob and Greg. I'm Pat Garcia with Design Explorer, and I'm one of the teachers that Mira was talking about. I've done a couple of trainings for them on branding, and so if you guys need help with branding, I'd be happy to jump in and help there as well. And I'm sure
Absolutely, yeah. We do we actually, one of our programs is a business roundtable that we do, and one of the areas of focus is marketing. So we do that pretty much every other month, and we've done one on branding, but again, it sort of my phrase, sales and marketing are always the sexy ones that people want and need the information on. So the more the merrier when it comes to that. We do a lot of training in those two areas. So absolutely, Pat, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, branding is a different animal. People kind of lump it in with marketing or design, but it's actually its own entity and something everybody needs to do. Build
Absolutely.
a brand foundation. But yeah, I'll be in touch. Thanks.
That's great. Yeah, and just to remind you guys, if you have, they literally, I think what's really unique about the SBDC is that they do have such a wide, vast network of experts. So whatever that is, they can help you connect with somebody who can help you. So as Greg was saying, he may not be the expert in a specific thing that you need, say patents or trademarks, right? But I'm positive they know somebody that can. So connect with Kim Roberts, then that information's in the chat, or Greg put the general website in there as well. That will also get you to her. When I send the post email out, I will connect, I'll send the email out again, and you can go to our website as well. It's on there. So lots of ways that you can connect, but really take advantage of the services, because what I've always said with Jeffco, right, they're publicly funded as well. They're publicly funded on a federal level. You've already paid for these services. So use them, right? That's the whole reason that they exist, is because they're equally as dedicated to your success as all of us. We all are. So really, really great resources. What other questions do you have about? Okay, Alicia, you can go ahead and unmute.
So my question is, I wasn't able to secure any funding because I'm still technically a startup, and most of the grants want 2 years of tax records. So I feel like I've searched a lot, but I've come up with nothing for startups for funding for this pandemic. So does anybody know of where I should look next?
Yes. First and foremost, if you want to, Alicia, respond to me via email on this too, I will definitely get you a list of some folks that can probably help you out, or at least what we've been sort of pushing folks to during these troubled times. But in the short answer to that, that may seem a little longer, we do a couple different things. Number one, we do have a program that we run at least a couple times a year that's called our Funding Options Panel. It is sort of embedded somewhat into our Leading Edge program that we've talked about a little bit now, but anybody, you don't have to be in that program to attend it. It's free of charge. And it is just like it mentions in the title. It is a panel of individuals that I pull together, usually 3 to 5 different individuals from either both traditional and non-traditional funding sources. So yeah, we get that question a lot from you, and frustration of, hey, I just got started. They expect me to have this and my financials here, but how do I do all that if I'm just getting started? So we go through and open up the door to some microfinancing as well. Those opportunities that folks may not be aware of, and they're even more prevalent right now during the pandemic. So I'd be more than happy to share that with you and really anyone else. That's something that we're on a regular basis pushing out. And like I said, twice a year in sort of normal times, we're running this, that panel when we bring in folks from, like I said, anywhere from a Wells Fargo to some of our micro lenders, Colorado Lending Source, Colorado Enterprise Fund, and others, as well as sometimes somebody from the SBA that's talking about some of the assistance and gap funding that they do there, because the SBDA doesn't necessarily fund loans. They're sort of the gap in between and the guarantee behind those loans. So be more than happy to share that with you.
And I'm assuming you're talking about like a PPP or economic injury disaster loan specifically for the pandemic?
Yes. Yeah.
When did you start your business? When were you in business, and let's start with that question.
Okay, so I had this business in California for 9 years, and I started in Colorado November of 2019.
Okay.
And then I was basically closed by March, and then reopened in July.
And then were you able, did you talk to your your banker about a PPP application?
Yes, and that was Chase Bank, and all they offered me was a loan, but I did not want to go further into debt. I would have liked to cover my expenses through a grant, so that the reopening could occur.
Yeah, so why don't you figure out, go through the process, and we can chat. I might be able to share some other resources. You might be able to go through like the Colorado Lending Source or Colorado Enterprise Fund. They might be able to structure something for you. Those are probably the two primary alternative lenders that we refer folks to. And that was Colorado Lending Source and Colorado Enterprise Fund. Is that correct, Rob?
Yes, and like I said, Alicia, if you want to send that to me, that is exactly the two that I was going to send to you specifically, because we do work pretty much hand in glove with them, and Greg's right on par with that. They were, or at least Colorado Lending Source, I know, was one of the first four for the second round of the Payroll Protection Program, the PPP that we're referring to, that opened up their doors early last week. So yeah, I know there's some space there. We can get you in touch with those folks for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Based on your time in business, it sounds like you should qualify at the federal SBA criteria. It shouldn't matter if you were in business in California or Colorado. You were in business and you had payroll expenses that should be covered under PPP. The economic, and that's going to come as a loan, just so you know. It's just a forgivable loan.
Right.
The economic injury disaster loan is not a forgivable loan. It's just a very low rate loan. And what you have to demonstrate there is that you experienced economic injury from the pandemic. So a drop in revenue.
Okay. Yeah, easy to do.
We have a question that came up. Is the SBDC offering in-person appointments or only virtual, or both?
Right now, everything is virtual.
Okay. All right, perfect. So what other questions do you guys have about the SBDC as a whole, or how to services they may offer? Saving some of your personal questions for a time to meet with a business advisor would be great. But what else do you want to know about this organization?
So if I'm in Arvada, where is the best, where should I start getting hooked in to do some one-on-ones and to learn about the classes? Because I'm probably, I'm a little confused about that since there's the 15 branches.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I confused you there, Linda and others. Ideally, like I said, you can go to, you've received in the chat, and Amari will follow up with the rest of our contact information through us. Now, Kim Roberts is our sort of gatekeeper for all the phone calls and requests to come in. If she'll ask you a few questions to get started. If we don't have somebody that can answer that question, or there's somebody that's in our network that may be better in Greeley or in wherever within the state, now then that will work, quite honestly, because they're all of our centers, a few of them are doing in person, but most are virtual, so it doesn't matter where you're at. But typically, again, going back to once we get back to normalcy here sooner rather than later, it usually is the one that's either hopefully closest to you or pretty close to you, because you may be visiting someone a couple times a month, and we don't want you traveling obviously too far if you don't need to. Again, just to underscore, each can have a little bit more area of focus in something, or more consultants. And so you may feel that, or find that when you call us up, it may take, let's say, a week or two to get into somebody, where maybe if you called Aurora, maybe they can get you in the next day or within a couple days, kind of a thing. So that's really the nuance there.
So start with the Denver Metro and call that Kim. I'll do that.
Absolutely.
Great. This has been very useful to learn about this organization and make connections with it. So it's been very helpful.
Great to hear. Thank you. Unfortunately, we always say we're the best kept secret in town, but we don't want to be a secret.
Well, I did a little bit of one-on-one with the Jeffco before they closed, and that was very helpful as well. So
Great.
Yeah, we all need support. There's not one successful person on this planet that arrived to their success by themselves,
Amen.
right? We all need mentorship. So that's great. Okay. What else? How about any of our community partners? Do you have any questions of ways to connect with SBDC, or what are your thoughts? And you don't have to, no pressure, just curious.
Hi, Amira.
Yeah, hi.
This is Maki Delight. I should
Yes,
turn the camera on. Hi.
good to see you.
Good to see you. This is I'm the president of Reachers Business Association, so I'm joining this meeting as a ways to continue providing resources to our members. But my question would be that, how you've been so personable and within your efforts to outreach to our members and with all the programs that you offered. And I was wondering if there's any ways or plans to continue those type of outreach with local organizations so that we are able to design our programs with SBDC for our members and then the business people at large.
Yes, okay, thank you, Maki. So for clarity, for Rob and Greg, part of my role with Jeffco BRC is that I attended all of our strategic partner meetings. So chamber meetings and business association meetings. I roughly went to maybe about 13, sometimes more each month. And I attended their monthly meetings, and then they were gracious enough to provide a spot on the agenda. So I could do monthly updates, talk about the classes we had coming up or whatever special events we were having. So that's what Maki is referring to. I'd also would send out all of our offerings once a month, and they would post them on their website. We typically had links. I know, like for Wheat Ridge Business, they had a link for Jefferson County Business Resource Center on their website. So that made it very easy for their members to connect with us and kind of see what's going on and keep us in the loop. So I experienced just unbelievable support from our business community, from the other organizations. Absolutely, it was fantastic. It was a fantastic partnership. So, but I don't know that, our scenario and our structure was very different than the SBDC. So how do you think would be the best way for our community partners or strategic partners to connect with the SBDC and help keep you in front of their members?
Yeah, I'll start by saying the short answer is we'd love to work with you. It may not look exactly the way the partnership that I just heard described. We are, as I think I said before, and Greg may have alluded to this too, if we don't have the answers, or if we're not putting on something that someone else is doing that may help out one of our clients or future clients, then absolutely we want to make sure we're connected to folks like that. I'd say in a couple different ways we do that. Not so much on our website. I would say how that would engage directly is if there's an event or an activity or program that you're doing that may bleed into some of the ways that we're providing services for folks. By all means, we would add that to our calendar and can add that to our education and training calendar as partners. That would be great. Then we also have a document that, going back to her name, Kim Roberts, she puts together a resource sharing document that has partners on it. So anywhere from this area of focus to that area of focus, outside of our business consultants, she has a resource document that she's put together that we can add you to that, so that when people either call up or email us and say, we don't do that directly, but we have a partner or somebody that can help you, here's their contact information. We're always more than welcome to do that as well. So I'd say that's probably the two areas that we could directly assist.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, what else? What other questions? All right, so is that it?
I have a question. I have I have people just kept encouraging me to get my business card. So when people wanted to get a hold of me, so I have my business card and a brochure. I have those done, and I'm trying to, and I'm working through or slugging through updating my LinkedIn, because that's what I have connected on my brochure. So I'm going from kind of one industry to another. And so that kind of gets, some of this gets you bogged down, because it's like writing a new resume and pulling all your information and deciding what to keep and what's pertinent for people to know about me when they go on LinkedIn. Also, I have heard both things. One, just as a new business owner, just work with a LinkedIn account before you start a website, because of the maintenance to have a professional website, or at least look professional when people go to it. Because I have actually looked in my industry at different websites, and some, the experience that those contractors have is really good, but their website is doesn't express that. I just know, being kind of new at this, it's a little overwhelming. All the pieces, parts that you have to have going, so that you're a valid business when you're out there promoting yourself, and they link back to you, and you don't have anything good to show for them to look at. For in my industry is garden design, a lot of photographs, like befores and afters, but there again, it's going through and picking the ones that will be ideal to show what I do and what I've done. I guess it's nice to know that there's support out there, but I feel sometimes very overwhelmed, because my season is a little bit of a lull right now, but it's going to ramp up very, very quickly. And I was just really wanting to have a better handle on what I consider the paperwork end of what I do, so that I'm not trying to do the paperwork end at the same time as working with clients into the spring garden season. So if I could have like a pat on the back or a shout out that says, yeah, you can do it, you can do it. That would be great. Because I'm excited and challenged at the same time, because my energies going into the garden season are actually focused on that part of the work and not so much on the paperwork, but I know that that's critical to stay on top of. So I'm just kind of sharing, putting that out there for those who have been doing this for a while, or I don't know, just some ideas or pointers as I move forward would be great.
So this applies to everybody who owns a business. If you haven't read it yet, I would highly encourage you all to read or listen to The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
The what?
The E-Myth, the entrepreneur myth by Michael Gerber, like the baby food, G-E-R-B-E-R, Gerber. It's just a really good foundational book for all business owners. So I'll leave that out there. It kind of addresses what you're talking about, Carrie.
Okay.
In that there's what the business does and there's being a business owner. And those are two very different things. And as business owners, we need to wrap our head around our new identity as a business owner, not as what the business does.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
Okay. I had this exact same question for a friend of mine, and we were team members in the MBA program at CU, and he's super smart about all things tech. And I said, well, what should I do? Should I make a website for my company? I said, oh, no. Just go with Shopify for the state that I'm at, which is almost vestigial, like very little activity. So that was one recommendation. And I have to say, I think LinkedIn is a really good idea, except for the pictures. I'm not sure you can post very many pictures, but I would definitely do everything you can on LinkedIn to make a good profile, and then maybe see what Shopify has to offer. Maybe you could put a lot of pictures on Shopify, and then you could link to that from LinkedIn.
Yeah, because for what I do, people like to see,
Mhm.
yeah, can you dig a hole and make it look nice and
Yeah.
keep it growing? So that the visual is a big part of what people want to know. What did your before look like, and what does that look like now? I mean,
Mhm.
that's kind of big, and I have a slew of photographs, but it's just now going back through in my computer to kind of separate them and pick the ones, because I'm not by any means a professional photographer, and I want them to have a good view of what they can also put in the vision of their garden as well.
Right.
So what
So-
I'm hearing is that Rob, Rose, and Greg have got great resources for you. And also on this webinar is Pat Garcia. Hey, no relation to me, but she does an excellent job of marketing and websites, and contact her with your questions. She's very helpful
Okay.
figuring out your branding and what your next steps are.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I would agree. Those are
Good,
great
thank you.
tips. Thank you for sharing, ladies.
Like
So,
the plug. That's
We are
good.
almost at the end of our time. So are there any other questions about the SBDC in general? Like, not personal questions about your business, but about using the SBDC services or connecting or anything like that?
Hey,
Hi, I'm-
Mari, as folks are thinking about that question, and sorry, Peter, just one thing real quick. Kathleen, good comments, and Carrie, I'll take your question actually back to kind of twofold. Cheryl made a good point. Obviously, going back to probably our marketing consultant will sit down with you and go over your specific needs. So, and it is underscored your, because it's going to be different. It's hard to sort of paint that one brush to you that's going to be a little different to Cheryl or to Sean or anybody else, quite honestly, right? So that's why we have those one-on-one consultant meetings. But to Greg's point, and just to further that on, I knew he was going to mention that book. We have worked together for so long, because that is something we discuss usually the first night of our Leading Edge program. And I would sort of underscore that might be a place or a next step, or first step for you, because not only do we go deeper into things like that, but we also have a universe of folks just like that are on this call that are in the same sort of opportunity that you're in. There, you may be around folks, family, friends, and others that think you're a little crazy, quite honestly, that you're starting this entrepreneurial endeavor and you're not around like-minded individuals. But guess what? When you're in this Leading Edge class, you may have 20 other folks that are in there that not the same business as you, but they're in the same frame of mind. This is my dream. This is my passion that I want to pursue. And I've got others around me in that same area that can help me, guide me, give me suggestions, even though, again, they may not be an expert or in the same industry as me. But it is very, very powerful what folks get out of just that aspect of Leading Edge, minus the fact that you're going to get Greg's toolage as well as other guest speakers and other resources that come with the program. But love to to share that opportunity with a lot of folks to open up the door to Leading Edge for sure.
Thank you. That is an excellent point. Yeah. Yes. All right.
Oh, yeah, Rob,
sure.
that's kind of my question. Some of the things that I'm involved with recently are our most recent developmental needs. I'd like to connect up with some people who are kind of in the same ballpark. We've got product development and with consumer food products, and gosh, I'd like to talk to somebody who's got the battle scars and kind of been there. And would you guys be able to put me in touch with some people who might be, because you're a federal program, that perhaps there's somebody on the East Coast who, might have been dealing with something of a similar nature?
Well, actually, Peter, I'll tell you what, we don't even have to go East Coast on that. It's like you're a plant for another program of ours that I didn't mention. Greg didn't mention either, although he is one of our stars in this program called Trout Tank. You probably all have heard of Shark Tank that's out there. The Trout Tank is a program that we've had for a number of years, for almost 6 years now through our center, where it's similar in sort of that it's a pitch competition, if you will, like Shark Tank, but it is a true program for us in that it is a 4 to 5 week program where we educate you in what we do through the Small Business Development Center, but most importantly, we do areas of focus within those trout tanks. So one of them happens to be the food industry. So another one where we're doing right now is sustainability. That's the next one that's coming up. If you look on our website, you'll see that. But we do different areas of focus, and we bring together like-minded individuals, just like you said. So within your area of focus, you will have a cohort, usually of 10 to 12, or maybe a little bit more than that are in that same industry, working together for a common goal. That are at the end of the day, in the end of the 5 weeks, we're doing a pitch competition to some celebrity judges usually, or funding opportunities where we usually stock the room with that as well. But again, take a look on our website, find out a little bit more about Trout Tank. You'll find out the lead on that is my partner in crime at the SBDC. His name is Morgan Alou, and Morgan's the direct connect on that that runs that program for us. But I think you'll find probably what you're looking for there, because he opens up that, depending upon the industry, we have partners in each one of those that can help you out throughout that process, during the process and beyond. So I think you'll find some good synergy there.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, that's awesome. I forgot about that program. That's a phenomenal program. So you guys can see, really, you've heard so many things today. The SBDC is fantastic, and they have so many advantages and experts and specific experts, right? They're here to support you. So I really encourage you to reach out and connect. And as you've heard, I know there's 3 locations here in the Denver area. Am I right? There's the one downtown. Then there's one up north, right around like 100th and Sheridan area. And then there's one down south, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Those are probably, the 3 closest to where most folks are at.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. And I imagine too that some of the virtual, I know in many industries, the virtual thing is here to stay, because we figured out that it is far more efficient in a lot of ways, right? So I can't imagine that you wouldn't still be able to access virtual sessions with business advisors once we do open back up. So really now location isn't really going to be relevant, because you can still connect this way. So that's great. Okay, so
Amira, we all want to thank you for everything that you've done. A round of applause for all your services, your dedication, all the great programs that you brought to us. It was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It has been an honor to serve in Jefferson County.
We'll miss you.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be in Jeffco. Yeah. Thank you. It's very nice, Cheryl. Okay, so last call for questions.
You are going to send us the printout of the chat. Is that correct?
I will. Yes, I will. I'll send you the printout of the chat, and then I'll also send you the link for the video. It'll be a YouTube video, and then I'll also post it on Facebook later this afternoon. Great. So we really want to get it out there and introduce SBDC to Jeffco. And thank you so much to Rob and Greg. They've taken, this is the second time they've spent time with me. We shot a video for social media last week, and then coming today. And we really appreciate all that you've shared, and your energy and the positivity, and just helping to make this transition, as smooth as possible. So thank you for that. And with that, I'm going to stop the recording. So we'll sign out there. Everybody have a great day.